Did you know there's only 4 ingredients in a French baguette, and there's over 6 billion sold in this country, which is France, every single year? The connection I have with a French baguette will be explained later on inside this Renault 5. It's nothing to do with French stereotypes, I can assure you of that. What is this car? This is a car that we first saw nearly 4 years ago as a prototype. And for those of you old enough to remember the original Renault 5, and especially the turbo version, there are elements of this car that have been transcended from a heritage point of view into that. This is fully electric, and I'm going to give you a little look around today at this brand new car that will launch soon, with a price of €25,000 in Europe, but not confirmed for Irish pricing yet again, but we'll get to that point. Okay, 3 powertrains, up to 150 brake horsepower, 110 kilowatt. Is that enough? Join me at the end of this video and we can discuss. On the outside of the car, you've got to go for a bright colour. There's the famous yellow that they've used in all the prototype pictures and images. There's this green, it's almost like a Kermit green, but it's so bright. 2-tone roof going on. There are options as well where you can get decals, including a huge 5 over the roof of this car, just in case you want to bang people further on the head as to what this is. Now, on the original turbo version of this car, there was an air intake over the bonnet. They didn't want to get rid of that, so they've made that into a 2024 idea, and it now will give you the state of charge when you walk towards the vehicle. Now, for more specific stuff, obviously you can use the app to see exactly what your state of charge will be, but this will give you a rough idea, and it's just a nice nod to the original turbo version of the car. Charging port is on this side. This can be prohibitive to certain chargers. Some of the faster chargers, just if they're over this side of the car, it can be a bit of a stretch. So it's good and bad is my way of describing it. Up to 80 and 100 kilowatt DC charging. I'm waiting to confirm in any of the literature that the 22 onboard kilowatt charger will come in the 5. I can't find that, and if that is the case, that's disappointing, because it's such a great feature for the Renault Zoe and the Renault Megane E-Tech, which we've had on the market a little while. Certainly there is an 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Looking at the wheels, there's 3 options. They're all 18, but if you go for what's known as the disco alloys, they probably represent the true retro look of the original car the most. They are nice, but maybe for the full-on retro look you want the disco versions. Little French flag in the headlights, just to remind you of the heritage and the origin of the Renault 5. Very distinctive daytime running lights in the lower part of the bumper. If they get a smack of another car in Paris, you park your car with your bumper. But nonetheless, it looks durable. There's also a little 5 little decal here. There's lots of little attention to the details bits. This is a light bar across the front, very low across this stretch of the car, but dimensionally it's just under 4 meters long. Actual specific dimensions are 3.9 meters long, 1.5 meters tall, 2.54 meters from wheel to wheel, giving you an idea that it's not a huge car, but again, they've managed to cram a lot of space onto the interior to give you plenty of room for up to, well, certainly 4 people, but it obviously will carry 5. These used to be plastic molding parts from the original Renault 5. Obviously no need for them here, but these beautiful kind of tiered lights, they're just so distinctive, and I think the shoulders of the car, the way it comes out, not obviously quite as wide as the turbo version, but the back of the car has stayed very true to the original design of the Renault 5. The same with this retro looking 5 badge. we get a wiper on the back. How many times are you guys commenting saying, there's no wiper in the car? What's the story with that? So it looks really, really good at the back as far as I'm concerned. This red strip that goes right around the car, it's so distinctive looking. Shark fin aerial, but really the back, it's a job beautifully done. If you want to actually be true to what should be a retro looking vehicle, I think throughout the whole 5, Renault have done a fantastic job at that. The weight of the car is 1,449 kilos. That's light for an EV. There will be 2 battery options. We'll get the larger battery in Ireland to begin with. That's the 50 kilowatt hour battery. That delivers a range of up to 400 kilometers, so Renault say. You can always take that with a little pinch of salt. There's new battery architecture going on in the vehicle, so the center of gravity is extra low. They say it ends up in being a really fun car to drive. We'll hopefully get to drive that in the not too distant future. Door handles up the front, and again, in a nod, but we're seeing this on more and more modern cars as well. The rear door handles, they can sometimes be a little bit high up for kids to access, but nonetheless, again, keeping in the spirit of the retro design. Then this almost carbon fibre style plastic insert along the side. We have 2 reversing lights on either side of the tail lights. Also, the boot is pretty generous for the size of the car. There's no doubt more space is being given to inside, but it's 327 litres, and there's a little bit of adjustability in it where you can store some bits underneath. I kind of like the fact that you can see the paint colour. Again, it's retro. On an older car, you'd see that. And there's also a little bit of extra space down below for your Type 2 charging cable. Parcel shelf that's quite small, but 327 litres. Not huge, but again, for the size of the car, it is essentially a city car. That's what it's being marketed as. Not a bad size. The platform of the car is known as is AMPR. The Renault 5 is the first vehicle to use this, so there is a flat floor which does give you a little bit of space. It feels like this rear seat does sit quite high, pushing your knees kind of straight up here. That seat is fairly far back though, so if you have some adjustability there, you'll probably be okay. Looking around, there's no charging points that I can see on first look, but there is map pockets, or what used to be known as map pockets, for the back of the car. No armrest, again, to be expected in this segment of vehicle, but what is inside is a retro style pattern on the roof lining. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but again, one of the many nods inside this vehicle to the fun, the sense of the original car, which I just think they've captured beautifully. Let's start with some of the further retro stuff. So this indicator stalk is actually your drive selector, and you can customize what it says here. There's a few different color options. And then the modern stuff that's throughout the vehicle. Renault is the name of this avatar who will pop up and help you. Like the car will have ChatGPT as well, but this is a kind of an additional aid for helping you with things. He kind of reminds me of that little paperclip guy that used to be on Microsoft many years ago, but you can use it, for example, to say, hey Renault, turn the air conditioning on, and it will make the car cooler. A little bit distracting perhaps, but it's there. I would love them to have done a little bit more retro goodness on the steering wheel. It's very like the Megane E-Tech, which is not a bad thing. It's a good wheel, but again, they've gone to so much effort making sure there's so much retro stuff in the car. Like even the 5 and the mats looks really good. As I mentioned, the patterns on the roof. But then you have this interior. There's 3 different versions that you can get. Almost like a denim feature. Again, same pattern with the seats. And the yellow car we got to see today has bright green inserts here, but very much a throw to, again, the original car. The bolsters are really decent, some of the biggest I've seen on a production car for a long time. And then there's some other switches that feel very familiar to Renault in general. The climate control buttons, the cruise control, the shortcut stuff on the steering wheel, all familiar territory. 2 USB-C charging ports and a wireless pad down here, and some space down below. And like a lot of cars, you can use these dividers just to give you more practicality. You've got an armrest. Definitely a more practical car than the original 5 would have been in terms of storage. Renault are sticking with the Google-based platform for the nav, which they say is one of the best trip planners on the market. If you've used it on your phone, it's really great. One of the best features of it that I love is it'll tell you when you get to your destination what your state of charge will be and when you get back, so you'll know instantly are you going to make it without needing to stop for a charge. All the different displays are really good, bright graphics, clear, a very large wraparound orientated towards the driver. What will that look in a right-hand drive car? Will it still curve the same way? We'll have to wait to find out, but it does look really good. And again, retro-ness going on in the dials. We've seen Volkswagen look at this same idea for ID2 All. So I think there's probably two different customers for this car. The first gen who remember the original and they want the retroness, and other people that will just look at it as it is, a very striking car. And there's certainly lots of quirky stuff going on that I think this could really appeal to a potential younger EV buyer also. But a nice ergonomic, everything's within easy reach, good setup, nice use of materials, lots of lovely bright colours going on. And again, if EVs can sometimes be accused of being a little bit dull, I just don't think that's a slur you can put on the Renault 5 at all. Just some final thoughts on the car. I have taken some notes. Some of the sustainability stuff in the car, 100% leather free. 75% of the materials come from within 300 kilometers of the factory. From a sustainability point of view, a logistics point of view, Renault say that is a really good thing. I do have a question. Is 150 brake horsepower enough? Would 200 have made this just a bit more fun and, you know, a further nod to what came before? I do love the retro touches on it. I love the back of it. I think it's a really striking looking car. You've just got to get it in a bright colour. I saw it today in kind of a navy and a grey. It does need the brighter stuff to really pop, as far as I know. I'm waiting confirmation. I can see that it has the 22 kilowatt onboard charger. That is a disappointment if that is the case. 11 kilowatt is all right, but you know, Renault famously had 22 kilowatt on board chargers. I really hope by the time this car launches, it will be something that's available on the vehicle. Believe it or not, this is a baguette holder, and that was my point at the start of the video. You can actually slot this in to your Renault 5. If you're going for a picnic and you buy a brand new baguette, this will slot in. Do you remember Volkswagen had the little daisy in the dashboard for the Beetle? It's a quirky little thing. Might look unusual at starters, but if you want to get your baguette and be quintessentially French, the Renault 5 will allow you to do it. Just on another decal point of view, this can also be changed depending on what you would like on your car. So the idea will be your Renault 5 can look quite unique compared to every other one that's on the road. Finally then, from a safety point of view, the ADAS system that will come in the car, it will spot pedestrians. It's designed for the car to be a city car. It'll spot bollards, all the safety stuff you expect a car of, well, this modernness will all be a standard. Speed sign recognition, high quality cameras all around, all the safety stuff that you come to expect. How much of it we'll get on the different trim levels and how many trim levels we'll get in Ireland, that is remaining to be seen. But we'll keep you updated, and we'll get a spin on the car later on in the year. What do you think? From my perspective, I think some brands could be looking at this going, God, they got that right. Some other companies have designed retro-ish cars. This is the first one to me that says, yes, EVs can look fun. No, they don't have to weigh over 2 ton. And if they get the price on this right in Ireland, will we see it for less than 30,000? Will it be just over 30 for the top spec 150 brake horsepower version? All that stuff will remain to be seen. For now though, thank you for joining me in Paris. I'm off to have a late afternoon baguette lunch minus the baguette. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments section. Please do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and I'll talk to you on the next one.